We're back with our second segment here on Talking Law TV, talking to Doug Andrews about DUI and the repeat offender.
Hi, Michael.
Some people just don't learn their lesson, do they?
Sometimes that appears to be so.
Okay, so you get a phone call and it's one of your previous clients who says, Doug, you're not going to believe this, but I did it again. Do you just want to hang up, or what do you want to do?
I get very upset with my clients, and they know that, because I give them all the lecture, and I tell them how to avoid it, and I make sure they get the treatment they need as early in the program as I can before they go to court. Because my theory is, if they need treatment, get it now, not 9 months after the incident, when the judge finally hears the case and orders it. But get it done sooner. Get them the help they need, if so, to avoid harm to them or others. So I do get a little irritated at times, but sometimes it's not the client's fault, believe it or not. It's always their fault, in my view, if they've had any alcohol and get behind the wheel, because that's rule 1. But they might not actually be accurately charged as a DUI, because sometimes, believe it or not, they get arrested just for having odor of alcohol, and that's not a crime.
Okay. How big a deal is a second or third DUI?
It's about as serious as a heart attack for a lot of people. It's a job killer. It can cause divorce if your wife is just up to here with it. So unless you think that 90 days in jail or 120 days jail is no big deal, it's a big deal.
And what happens to your license?
On a second offense, in 5 years, you're going to lose that license for 3 years on paper. A hard 12 months suspension, after which you can get a probationary permit. Third offense is habitual violator. Get revoked for 5 years, nothing for the first 24 months, then you can get a probationary license. So no driving for any purpose at all on a second and third offense. And it's still a 5-year look back for driver license consequences, but it's a 10-year look back for sentencing as to whether it's your first, second, or third, for amount of fine, amount of community service, and amount of jail time. That's a 10-year look back now, a long time.
And what if you have a specialty license like a CDL?
That gets even, that's almost like instant death. If the other's a heart attack, that's instant death. A commercial licensed driver who gets a second DUI in his lifetime, meaning one could have been 30 years ago and now he has a new one, and you don't have to be driving a commercial rig. You could be driving your four-wheeler. If you get a second DUI conviction, you lose your CDL privilege for life. Life without parole. There's no provision for reinstatement.
Have these changes in the law created more people to try to escape or run because it's so much more severe now than it used to be?
Well, that's an interesting question. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a big bump in fleeing to elude. Most of the people that are charged with fleeing to elude were perhaps blotto and didn't see the officer, or was listening to their music or texting or something. They didn't actually see it. Other times I have seen some fleeing to elude, more commonly when somebody's doing 130 miles an hour and they just figure, oh, they'll just keep going.
What else can they do?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is this jail time? You mentioned hard 5 years, but then 24 months?
Yeah. On the jail sentence for a second offense within 10-year look back, it's a mandatory 90 days jail. The judge must impose it. The judge has the power to suspend that jail sentence after you've done 72 hours of actual jail time. However, in Chatham County, if your case is by Savannah-Chatham Metro Police or State Patrol within Chatham County, where it would normally go to the Recorder's Court, there your case won't see the light of day in Recorder's Court. The District Attorney's Office will snatch the case out of Recorder's Court, put the case into State Court of Chatham County, targeting you upon conviction for DUI court program as a repeat offender. That's if it's second in 5 or third in lifetime. And up there, the minimum sentences begin in the neighborhood of 30 to 60 days of actual jail incarceration time.
Do we mean like coastal prison or Chatham County Jail?
Chatham County Detention Center, because they're misdemeanors. A maximum is a $1,000 fine on a second offense and 12 months in jail. But in the DUI court program, you're going to do usually 30-day jail sentence and then enter the DUI court program.
Now, you mentioned DUI court a couple of times. What is that?
It's, in essence, an effort to rehabilitate folks so that they don't get any more DUIs. Judge Fowler, Greg Fowler, was the one who initiated it here in Chatham. He is the primary judge for DUI court. Chatham was one of 3 test counties. Recently, I think last year, they authorized DUI courts statewide. It's subject to funding, so that's a problem. But it's an intensive rehab program. It's basically a program set up for a minimum of 12 months. Excuse me. Orientation phase alone is 8 weeks long. You go to 2 group meetings each week, group therapy. You have 3 minimum AA meetings a week. You go see either the judge or the probation office weekly. You're going to see somebody every week. You're on random testing. They have sanctions for you if you either get detected with alcohol in your system or you don't make the call to come submit to random testing. You're going to do time in jail. Those folks are usually suspended on their license, so they can't drive. If you get caught driving, it's a mandatory 30 days in jail by the judge's rule as a sanction. Their goal is to get the person away from alcohol, and Judge Fowler is the kindest, most gentle and caring judge, but he'll put you in jail in a heartbeat if you don't comply.
Okay, and we talked about CDL drivers. What about members of the military or medical professionals?
Those all have unique problems. The military folks, we see with today's recruiting and retention standards that if you have a second alcohol-related incident in the military, they're putting you out of the Army.
Really?
They are.
So you could lose 25 years of seniority.
You could.
And then medical people, can you lose your medical license?
They can either get suspended for an alcohol problem. On a first offense, usually not. Second one, you may well face a medical board.
Okay. Well, thank you, Doug. Doug's going to be back. No, you're not going to be back. Gene Brooks is going to be here next talking about defective drugs in our viewer mail segment. So if you have any questions about DUI offenders, please give us a call through our toll-free number, 888-203-71. We'll be back with Gene Brooks right after this.